Richard.
I'm Debbie.
And we are
Richby's Life Adventures.
I've been through heartaches, I've been to heaven. I've done my best and my worst, learned my lessons. No matter how hard my life would treat me, I'd always get right back up, never worry. Cause I got a million reasons to keep holding on. Yeah, I got all that it takes to overcome what I got.
Welcome back to Richby's Life Adventures. So last week you saw me put the Unistrut up on the roof. Now it's the following weekend. The solar panel has arrived in stock, and now we're going to set about fitting the solar panel up on the roof. It's getting a bit late in the day, as usual. I had other things to do, so I'm going to get as much of this done today and then carry on tomorrow, Sunday. Oh, hello. Thought you was just down there. Anyway, right, so up on the roof, both bits of longer Unistrut fitted and all sealed down. We've had some good rain to test it, so I know that they're not leaking. Got the old wires here. I think they're MC4 connectors, male and female. Now I might have to lengthen these wires, but what I don't want to do, because this is one piece wire going all the way down to the MPPT, I don't want to have to thread a whole new piece of wire through. So I might just do some connections on there to lengthen it to where I need to be, so there will be a join. But these are waterproof and good joins anyway, so if that's what needs to be, that's what needs to be. So how am I going to mount these solar panels? Well, I've got some aluminium box tubing, not as big as I'd like. I've only got 20mm, which has got some good strengths. It's very similar to what was holding the solar panels up on before. It's just I only had L shape, so if it's strong enough in L shape, it's going to be much stronger in box, and they help fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount a box section here, box section at the front, and then what I'll do is I'll drill and rivet the solar panel, and then drill a hole through the box section and put some aluminium tubing through so it doesn't compress and bind up, and that'll act as a hinge point on that side. And then on this side I've got some aluminium angle that will sit down on the Unistrut to act as a stop, and then I'll put thumb screws in either side to secure it on the driver's side. And like I said before, the panel is going to be offset more towards the driver's side, because the awning will go on the passenger side, and I don't want the risk of it casting a shadow onto the panel as much. As you know, slightest bit of shade and the amperage and voltage dramatically drops. So if I can bring it this way towards the driver's side, that's less likely for that awning to cast a shadow. When I want to tilt the solar panels, I undo the thumb screws and tilt the panels up. Now I do plan on putting gas struts on. It's finding some that are not too strong, but when you try and pull it down you fold the solar panel in half, and also you don't want it to go boom, fly up in the air and damage something. You want it to be a nice and rise up. My first port of call is measure and cut these two cross braces of aluminium box. Now I want the box section to sit across the Unistrut on both lips, just to give it a bit more support, and when I bolt through, it will bolt through and sit on both sides and spread the weight out a bit. So I'll just measure that, and what I'll do is I'll measure both ends as well, just to make sure that I want them both the same. Knowing my look, they'll be slightly different. So I'm looking at 136 centimetres at the back, and I'll measure the front and make sure it's roughly the same. 136 as well. So that means that the van or the Unistruts are mounted square. So I cut that down. I actually did it to 136.5, just to give me a little bit of overhang. I don't want a lot, I just want literally a couple of mil either end. Right, so how do I fit things down to the Unistrut? You use these things. Now these are the old ones that I had on the roof. They're called strut nuts, and the spring keeps it pushed up to the top of the Unistrut, and in here you have some teeth that are one way inverted, and on the inside of that you have teeth going the other way, albeit very small, and the spring keeps it pushed into them teeth, so it locks it in place and stops it from moving back and forth. And then of course when you tighten that up, that really pulls that up in there towards the teeth. I'll show you a bit more. So when you put these in, you put it in and you twist them like that, get what I mean? And then that sits there quite nice, and then when you put your bolt in you can put it, and that means that can go anywhere in that Unistrut you like. That's why a lot of people use this Unistrut, because it means you can bolt anything to these, well, let's call it a roof rack, anywhere you like to the roof rack. And then if you wish to move it, change it, you can't get the same solar panels or whatever you fit in, you can just move it along. Now when you look at these, they're rounded on one corner. That means you put them in that way and you twist it that way, and that will lock out then. And then if you want to get them out again, you twist it back that way and it boings out. So that'll be in there. I'm going to use this as a central point, so I know where centre is on the Unistrut. And then when I do my get back in shot. When I do my centering, I can centre my mark up with the centre of that hole. When I want to mark it, I can line it up with the centre of that hole using my vernier. I was going to just use a Sharpie pen, but this way if I lock this in position, I can replicate that distance on all four, knowing that the measurement is right, if you get what I'm saying. So what I'll do is I'll line that up from the end of this bar to the centre of the hole on that strut nut. Easier said than done, without moving it. Right there. Now if I hold that against it, I can use the end of the vernier to scribe a mark on there. Lovely. And then if I lock that off, I can use that same measurement on all of them, and that's exactly in that line there. So then all I've got to do is find the centre of that, and then use my dot punch, drill that, and then I can replicate that on all four, and I know this is going to bolt straight down to my Unistrut. Making sure that I'm going through in the same direction. I don't want to make the mistake of drilling the hole through that way on one end and that way on the other end. So keeping the face in the same direction, use my vernier and make a mark on there. And again, I know that that mark there is exactly the same place as that other end. When I do that there, that's that. When I go to the other end, it's back on that mark again, bang on. Right, so find the centre of that, and then I'll drill my holes. So I've drilled my hole all the way through, and the bolt fits through. That'll go on that end. These are stainless steel, by the way. That'll go on there. like that. And then before I tighten it up, I'll put the one in the other end and make sure the equidistant, that's a word, equidistant to the end of the Unistrut, so I know I'm getting it all nice, and so that you can just push that down, slide that to where you want it, and that'll be good to go. So I'm going to measure that and get that as far back as I can, making sure they're square, and then what I'll do then is, once I'm happy with that, I'll do the same for the front one, but not fit that, and then take this off and measure and drill out to the solar panel to create my pivot point. Right, it's got very dark now, so this really is the last one. It got dark so fast it caught me out. So I measured from the end of the Unistrut to here, 62 centimeters, and the same the other side. Mounted that down, and that's solid. And like I said, it's only 20mm box section, but that is extremely strong. If I need to here, what I'll do is I'll make some little angle aluminium and screw it to that, and then bond it to this like filler PVC pad that I put in when I did the Maxus fan, and then that'll stiffen up that centre as well. So I think that'll be fine. It doesn't leave much gap, and I thought I was going to be able to drop the solar panel down so that it sunk down behind the Unistrut, but I ain't going to be able to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the bottom of this box section go to the bottom of the solar panel, so the solar panel will sit up there, because I'm sure they're about 35mm, this is 20, so it's thick of about 15mm, and then that means that you'll see the solar panel from the side, but you could anyway on the old solar panel, so I'm not that bothered. I just thought it'd be nice to get it recessed down a little bit, but it's not about height clearance, because the Max fan sticks up a little bit anyway. But anyway, that'll do for tonight, and we'll see you first thing in the morning for us to crack on. Right, so I've had these hinges delivered. They're what's called offset pivot hinges, stainless steels, so they won't rust up on the roof, and they'll give me a nice pivot point. It'll be better than a nut and bolt. So I'll open that now. They're meant for hanging the door. If you had like a hidden bookcase or something like that, that's a door, you'd mount it on there, and then the same one on the top, and that gives you your pivot point. So they're capable of taking quite a bit of weight. You know, a bookcase full of books is not going to be light, so they're designed to be mounted that way, but I'm going to mount them that way. One bit on the solar panel, one bit on the aluminium box section, and then that'll give me my pivot point. So they'll be mounted about there, if you get my drift, or about there actually, and that'll give me my pivot point there. I was just going to nut and bolt it, like I said, with a tube to act as like a pivot bush, bearing, whatever you want to call it, but I figured this, when I spotted these, I thought, oh, that's going to be better. It looks a bit more professional as well, so that's what I'm going to have. I'll set about mounting those, and then that'll be it. Now I bought one of these. Aluminium angles, and I was going to cut it down and have it on the end of the solar panels for the thumb screw to go in onto the Unistrut. So I might glue that to that, and that'll stiffen and strengthen this as well. And then when the solar panel comes down, it'll sit on this lip. So I'll get another one of them aluminium angles and put it on the other side as well. Then I'll figure something else out for the other end for holding the window, so it'll sit more in like that, if you know what I mean. And solar panel will sit on there. Spread the weight out a bit. I could even put a thin strip of rubber down there, just to stop it rattling and clanging about. So I'll get on doing that. Right guys, so I got the hinges late last night, so I couldn't do much in the way of doing things. It was getting late, and I got next day delivery on Amazon for these hinges. Like I said, offset meaning they're not centre, pivot hinges, and they're designed to be like that, scissor hinges, offset pivot hinges, whatever you want to call them. And I've come out here after work on the Monday to just make a start, and what I've done is I measured the length of the solar panel each end, and then what I've done is I've set this forward about 4 mil, if you know what I mean, because if I made it exactly where the solar panel wanted to be, when it comes to the Unistrut the other end, it might slightly bind up on it or something like that. So I thought if I set it back, it will give me a little 2 or 3 mil, 4 mil tolerance the other end, if that makes sense. So I've riveted them on. They're stainless rivets as well, so they won't rust and they're nice and strong. Like I said, these things are designed to hold bookcases and hidden doors and things like that, so they're well strong enough to hold a door, so they're well strong enough to hold the solar panel, and these are stainless steel as well. And then what I'll do is I'll mark out on the solar panel where these three want to be, and what I'll do is I'll drill through the solar panel, and I'll use a countersunk bolt set screw, I think they call them, or machine screw. So basically it'll be a screwdriver headed countersunk, but a normal threaded bolt, and then I'll put a lock nut on the back, nylon lock nut. I'll put my teeth back in a minute. So I've done those, which want to be like that, and you want to be like that. Obviously the solar panel will sit in the middle, further apart, and then that'll give me my pivot points. Yeah, makes sense. And then for the solar panel to sit on, I've got this aluminium angle. That will sit on there, and one, it'll add rigidity to the 20mm box. It'll stiffen that up, and it'll give somewhere for the solar panel when it comes down to sit on. So what I'm going to do is I'm also going to glue this and rivet this to this, so that I only have to put one hole in the side of the box section. I'm not putting a hole all the way through, and that will weaken it even more. So if I can only put a hole in one side, that's why I riveted that rather than bolted it, because I didn't want to put a hole through both sides, because that would create a weak point on these three. It'll only be, you know, as thick as this is. So if I do the same here, put 4 or 5 or 6 holes in that side and rivet it and glue it, this will be attached to that quite securely, and it gives a maintenance free way of doing it, if this all makes sense. So I'll set about that now. I'll mark out where this wants to be, and I'll try and get it the centre of where the solar panel is going to be, just to spread the load out. It's I can't remember how long that is. It's not a metre. I think it's about 600. So I'll centre it out so it spreads the weight out over the centre bearing of the solar panel, and get attaching it. So what I'll do is I'll use my vernier to find out how big that is, and that's 22mm. So halfway between the two would be 11mm. So if I set that out to 11mm, lock that off, and then if I run my vernier down that edge, put a scribe line on it, that'll give me a centre line in there to be able to put my screws in, my holes in, and they'll all be in line. You see what I mean? Let's put in that mark, put that all the way down, all the way down. There, got a line there, I don't know if it's picking up on camera. And then what I can do is measure every so many inches, so I'll get an even number or an odd number of rivets down there, so they're evenly spaced out. Sorry guys, the GoPro went flat, so I've marked and drilled the holes in the box section, then I've held that on to this, clamped it in place and drilled through the holes and made the holes in the corresponding face. So what I'll do now is I'll deburr those, and how you deburr them, if you haven't got a deburring bit, you can use a larger drill bit. So what I'll also do is use a larger drill bit and just spin that on there with my drill. I'll see if I can do this one-handed. Hang on a second. So literally you touch that on there. See what I mean? Look, just puts a nice little deburr in it, just lightly. Oh, so I'm trying to do this one. Hang on. Right, I'm back again. I've got it clamped now. So just lightly on there. Right guys, so deburred all those, so they're nice and smooth now and flush. Done the same on these, they're all deburred in there. The same technique using the drill. So that'll go on there like that. And then what I'll do is I'm going to put a bead of glue adhesive along this inside edge, just a thin strip, and then I'll rivet it, and that should be good to go, nice and strong. So I'll do my beading now. And again, just using that Sidor Fixal Flexi. Just make sure that's that. Just put a thin bead all the way in that corner so it goes right in. There. That's it. And then I'm going to put that in there, roughly line it up with the holes already. Get the rivet in there. And I've got one of these air riveters. If you've got a compressor, definitely advise getting one of these. They just make life so much easier. It just saves pumping it with your hand riveter. Apologies for doing this in the dark, but I'm trying to get this video out as soon as I can. Plus we're out to meet some friends, not this weekend coming, but the weekend after, and then we're at the NEC. So we need solar for that because we've got a pub stop over not far from the NEC. With some other YouTubers. And there we have it guys. So I'll wipe off the excess glue, and what I might do is just put 2 in the bottom just to pull it down, just keep it square in there, and then that'll do. So I'm going to wipe off this excess now, and then I'll screw up some put some rivets in the other side as well. Right, I think I'm going to put 3 in the underside, one either end and one in the middle, and that'll be enough. So it might have gone a bit dark because I've just lost my portable light. I'm really struggling here in the light. I shouldn't really be doing it, but I want to get it done. Do it roughly the same at either end, in the middle. Find the middle roughly. You ain't going to see this, so it only has to be roughly because it's going to be on the underside. I got all this aluminium from B&Q. I think this is actually like a step edging strip, but it's nice and strong. Just deburr that again. Give it a little whiz with a bigger drill, like that. Right, bang a couple of rivets in there. Hopefully you can still hear me. Just give that a couple of seconds to build up some air. Yeah, so that is really strong. That's got no flex to it. Super strong and really lightweight. So don't go thinking that it has to be some big, thick, chunky stuff. Sometimes if you use thinner stuff right, one, it's lighter, and two, it's just as strong. You can go overkill. Initially I was thinking of using my old Unistrut to act as these bits, but that's loads of weight. So I went for this. What's that weigh? Don't know, guessing about 6 pounds in weight, probably 5 pounds. I don't know, I'm not very good at estimating weight. But so I've done the 3 on the bottom and then the ones down the side. Just wiping off this excess glue. So that's that one done. So I'll replicate that on the other side so it'll be identical, and then I'll mark these out on the solar panel where they want to be attached. I'll attach them to the solar panel, like I said, using set screws and riv nuts. And then stop them from flapping about while I lift it up there. I'll tape them in place, and then the next stage then will be lifting it up there as one lump piece, and then I'll set about then making my aluminium angle stops with the thumb screws that will go into the Unistrut and hold it down. So stay tuned, and I'll show you how I attach these to the solar panels. It'll be a couple of days for me, but it'll be seconds for you, so stay tuned. Right, meet Goliath, guys. It's a beast, isn't it? So it's 2.1 meters by 1.1 meters, or just over both. So I've done this hinge here, got that mounted, and now, if you remember, this will be the aluminium will be mounted to the Unistrut, allowing the solar panel to tilt. But at the moment I'm just going to fix one end in place with the thumb screws, and then I'll look at gas strutting it, and if I can't gas strut it, then I'll get an adjustable length of tent pole or whatever, you know, with a little push-in bobble, so I can adjust it. I'd like to gas strut it though, but we'll see what happens with that. So I'll quickly show you how I did this, and you'll see how I do it, and then I've got the dreadful task of figuring out how to get the blooming thing on the roof, because it is big. It's not particularly heavy, it's just cumbersome. Right, rather than trying to hold this up in place, I've got, because it comes as a pack of 4 the hinges, so it makes sense for me to hold this in place, mark out the holes and sort of pre-fit this one, take that off, and then I know that will fit straight on. So what I'll do is I want to come right to the end there and right to the bottom, and then I know that them two will be leveled up side to side. And then once they've clamped up, I've got these special drill bits, and they're called hinge drills. And basically what you do is you put it in your drill bit, in your drill, and then that bit there sits in that countersunk and keeps it central, so that you know that when that drill comes up, that slides back, look, and exposes the drill. When you push on your drill, that then goes up through there and goes through there, and you know that that is centre of that hole. Just makes centering a lot easier. Now holding it in place is very difficult, so I'm going to set about holding that in place, and then I'll drill it with a special drill bit. Okay, so they're clamped in. What I'm going to do is drill the outer ones, and then when I get screws in there, it'll then enable me to drill the middle one, if you know what I mean. So that's all clamped up. Use my special drill bit. And then that's dead centre then. Okay, so they're both drilled in now, and then what I can do is I can remove that now, and I'll deburr those two, with a bigger drill bit like I showed you the other day, and then I can fit those two, drill that one, and then you can also see a mark there where that hinge was, that pivot point, and because that's leaning that out, I've got to recess that. Do you see what I mean? It just sits proud, and then that enabled the hinge then to sit flat, otherwise it'd be like that and it might bind up. So I've got to just drill that out just a fraction, just to enable that little millimetre bit go in, and I'll do that with a big drill bit, the same one as I use for deburring that. Let's deburr them. Right, and hopefully that'll sit in there nice and flat, which it does. So what I'll do is I'll temporarily mount this bracket to there, do the middle one, take it off, deburr that, and I'll mask it off and just give that a lick of paint, because I don't like the fact that you can see these cut marks and then these, and it'll just tight it up. Right, that's them bolted back in. It's nice and secure now, but I just want to get a bolt in there, use my usual bit just to find the centre. Now the drill bit that's in here is not quite big enough, so I do have to ream it out with the right size drill bit, 5mm for a 5mm bolt. So I'll set about marking that now. It's marked in there, and that's centered as well. So right, just check that goes through, and it does. Quite happy with that. So now what I can do is remove that, mask it all off, and just give that corner a lick of paint in, and then set about fitting this hinge to it. Then I'll lift it up there in one lump. Okay, so give that a quick lick of paint. Now I am using washer and nylock nut M5s with a stainless steel M5 countersunk machine screw. The offset pivot hinges are pre-countersunk to give clearance, so it's just a case of using countersunk bolts. This inner one is fiddly to get the bolt in. That's why I'm doing it down here on the floor rather than up on the thing when I've got to hold the panel up and all that. I'd rather do it down here. And there we go. So that's all three of those tight. That pivots up there nicely. Now I am going to have to make some sort of support for the middle of the solar panel, because it's only attached at the ends and I think it might flex, but that's no biggie, I can do that. I wanted to keep it as light as possible, so I've already added to the Unistrut up on the roof, so I want to keep this mechanism as light as possible. So now it just leaves me to get it up on the roof.
Oh, if we can do the rave, eh?
Yeah, take it down, do it again.
Will I help enough?
Yeah.
Would you like a cup of tea in that?
Yeah.
We'll put kettle on.
Got to press record lifting it. And it's up there. Now I've just got to move it in place, bolt it down. Bless Deb. Apologies for the wind if it's getting you. Right, measure that, 62 centimetres as before. Got this thread lock. You put a little bit of this down your thread and it stops it from coming loose. You can get it from most manufacturers or screw fix or anything like that. Just put a little bit like that around your thread. You don't have to go all the way around. And when you put it down, what that'll do is that'll sort of glue the bolt in place. Yeah, nice and tight. So I'll go back over to the passenger side, double check that measurement and do the same on that, and then what I'll do is I'll go to the front and measure, make sure that's sat equal and the panel sitting square, and that's it, bolted down in place then. Right, so it's all fitted and within a millimetre of being square, so in my opinion that's very square. Look at that, look. That's very low profile, so to support this I'd get away with just lifting that slightly and pumping some adhesive in there, and that'll support that middle cross brace. And I'll do it on all, there's 3 beams across the middle, so I'll do that on all 3, and that'll support this middle leg and really add some strength to this then. And once it goes off it'll be solid. Now I've just tried lifting it and it's a lot heavier than I thought. So these gas struts that I've got here, and they're off a Dacia Duster, not Dacia Duster, Dacia Sandero or whatever it is. So it's just started raining, typical. So I think they might be man enough. So my next port of call in another video would be to make some little brackets coming off there, little triangular bits that bolt to the inside of this, and then some other brackets that bolt to the side of that, some triangular brackets, and then that'll sit on there like that, and then it will kick it up, and then all I have to do then is grab a handle, pull it back down, put my thumb screws in, and it's away. So I'll just show you it tilted now. Apologies because it's raining and it's probably windy. It's very difficult to lift at the moment because I ain't got no handle on it, but like that. So that then tilts up. So now I've got to figure out a way of getting them gas strips to help me lift it, and then I'll have a grab handle in the middle here, or I might have got 3 grab handles on, or one either end, I don't know. But that pivot's nice. Pivot's real nice. Next thing is hooking it up and checking that it's functional. Right, so got it propped up just on a broom. I had to put that there because I wanted to spread the load. So I've extended the wires, made it all nice and neat. I've got to get some more of these and then glue it down so it's out the way of the mechanism and that. And they'll all be sheltered then as well by the solar. Right, so it's all on. I've made these brackets. Sorry about the wind, guys. Made these brackets and just peened it over because it was a little bit long, so I thought I'd make it go wrap round there a little bit. And at the moment I'm just going to fasten it down with these bolts because my wing thumb bolts still haven't arrived. So I've got one there, that one there is just a support, and I've got another one there. It's all working and operational. Still only pulling 7 or 8 watts because of the weather today. It's hardly, but that's more than I would have been getting on my old panels. I'd have been lucky if I got 1 watt. So I'm very happy with that. So that's all on. The wires are all neatened up underneath, as you saw, and then I'll take you around the other side to show you what I've done to support that side. So I just wanted to support this side, and I was going to make a bracket and glue it to the roof, and I thought, well, it only really needs to support it when it's down, because when it's up it's not really under vibration and stuff, and it's quite solid when it's up actually. So I've got one of these, and it's an adjustable, so I can turn that and change how much. I mean, it's only got a little bit of weight on it, look now. So then that's adjustable, and it just takes the weight, just supports that centre. Yeah, so everything else is good to go now. So we're away next weekend, so I'm just going to clean the van out, give the roof another final sort of hose off just to make sure there's no swarf or anything laid up there, and then that's good to go. Right, so that's about it for the fitment of the solar panel. It's all up and working. It's enough to get us away. Yes, it's only temporary on the bolts at the minute. The thumb screws have still got to arrive, but that wraps up this build. Tune in next time when I'll be gas strutting it to make it go up with a lot less effort. So anyway, if you like what you're seeing, please like, please subscribe, please comment, and if you really feel like it, click that little bell icon and you'll get to see all our future videos. And on that note, I'll see you on the next one. See ya.
Hey darling, can I tell you what's been on my mind? Sick and tired of the 9 to 5 in the city life. Hey darling, we could get out of town, see the beautiful world around, wanna see